Assalamu alaikum, brothers and sisters. Sulaiman Rahim here. Welcome. This is critical analytics. This is my third attempt in trying to get this message to you. Someone doesn't want you to get it. So let's see how we go this time. Someone doesn't want you to receive this message. Now, what we're talking about here is today, because this is a program, a new program I just started. It deals with primarily current events in a critical, analytical way. Current events. But today I'm a little bit because this is it is a current event, but it's a very monumental event. See, let's talk about an event that will change the world. And you may not realize how that event is impacting you, and you may not realize that's a major part of your reality. In fact, it may be the base of your reality. So, it affects America more than anyone, probably, in the Middle East. Because what we have here is a situation that is going to affect the whole world. But the Christians are supposed to be on top of it. The Jews are supposed to be on top of it. Even the Muslims, because it's a scriptural event. It's mentioned scripturally in the Bible, in the so-called Old Testament and the New Testament, which the Jews claim to believe in the Old Testament. They claim the Old Testament, and the Christians claim the so-called New Testament. And the Muslims, they don't claim any of it, even though the Quran says they must accept all of it because they have to accept what's before them and after them. What was real before and after. So they should be on top of this, but they won't be. See? Because their religion and religions have nothing to do with critical analytics. All religions are based on belief. Have nothing to do with critical analytics. They can't be proven, right? And you can't apply logic and reason to them, even though they try to use reason and logic to convince you to be a part of that religion. But once you get into it, you will find no reason, no logic, no mathematics in it whatsoever, none. So I'm going to talk about this event. Now, this event is called the Abomination of Desolation. Now, why is that important? Because when I get into it, you'll see it's the foundation of your reality, because your religion is your reality. See? That's your reality. That's not the real reality, because real reality is mathematics. Everything around you, the universe, everything, from your laptop to your own self, your DNA, to stars, to galaxies, everything is mathematics. You'll find no exception. You can't show me anything that's real that's not mathematically based. So if God is an ultra mathematician, mental physics person, right, then that's beyond mathematics, then why did he create everything in that mode? Why did he create everything based on mathematics? See, those questions I want to answer for you, because we can't understand it, it's beyond our comprehension. So we have to settle for belief. So since we can't see it, we can't hear it, we can't prove it, then we just have to settle for belief. That's what they tell you, and that's BS. Anyway, because you got a lot of religions. You got a lot of religions. See? So there's all these different realities. And if any of them is true, only one of them could be true. That means everybody else is crazy as hell. See? But beyond that, right? We're going to talk about this because this thing is referenced in the so-called Old Testament and in the so-called New Testament, this abomination of desolation. So why is that important? Because that's the major event. That's the event that brings everything right into focus. It's the event that all the religions are hoping for. That's the gateway from hell into heaven, or this earth, this place into heaven. That's the event. That is the cardinal event. That's the premier event. See, have you? But most of you don't know that. But read it. It says, when you see the abomination of desolation, when you see that, right? But you have to know where it is. When you see it, immediately, no hesitation, run. Run to the mountains. No hesitation. Don't look back. Don't wipe your behind, right? Don't text anybody, right? Don't call back and get your family. It says run. Because there'll be a time of trouble such as never been and never ever will be again. The time of unprecedented trouble also spoke about in Daniel. So that's critical. That's some critical stuff. Because if you don't do that, you're going to be lost. That's the only way you can save yourself. You have to act immediately. But you have to know where it is. Because you can't do any analysis. You have to know where it is. And I guarantee you don't know where it is. I guarantee you a preacher don't know where it is. I guarantee you Farrakhan doesn't know where it is. They don't have any kind of reasonable explanation. They go back, here's to somebody, some king or whatever, sacrifice a swine in a temple, somebody else. They don't know, have no idea. They have no idea where it is. None. See? No idea whatsoever. But yet still, that's the cardinal event. That's the major event that you have to know. You have to know where it is. Because you can't, if you don't recognize it, how can you respond to it? Or otherwise you would jump it every time you see something, you wonder, oh man, maybe that's it, now run. Right? You're going to be doing that all your life. Well, it happens and you don't recognize it, and therefore, right, you're lost. So isn't that the event? Because that's the event also that heralds the arrival of Jesus. Read it. Because that's the time when you see Suleiman or Son of Man coming in the clouds. That is a cardinal event. But what is the event? That's the event that will save your life. That's the event that will have you be part of those delivered by Michael. So why are they not talking about that event? Just think about it. Go and read it. You have to know it. And it's a universal event. It's affect everybody. Because it's at a time on this earth, totally, of unprecedented trouble. Never anything like it before, ever. And never, ever will be again. See? So, but do you know what that event is? And it's two sides to this event. Abomination and desolation. Desolation is destruction, total destruction. But abomination is something that's so out of ordinary, so sickening maybe, or something that just couldn't happen. Abomination, like somebody eating manure. That's an abomination. You see what I'm saying? That's an abomination. So something that just don't happen or cannot happen. You can look at that context. Something that just can't happen, right? But it does, and destruction. There's two phases, two sides to it. Abomination, another side say appallment, that you be appalled by it. So that's give you some hints right there. Now, those of you who are studying the angel, right, you can understand where it is because once you understand the key, because you can figure out where it is. But if you don't understand angel, then you're not going to figure it out because you can't figure it out any other kind of way. If you don't understand Book of Revelation and understand the key, you have to unlock the seals, and it's a key that unlocks the seals, and you have to see that, and once you see it, then you can determine what that is. Well, otherwise you can't. And me telling you, you're not going to accept it. You're not going to accept it because you have a reality, your reality, because it's fake, because you can't prove it exists. Because a lot of, you got your reality is like your software. See, and you got several softwares. You got Buddhism. You got to choose from Buddhism, Hinduism, right? Um, Confucianism, right? Animism, right? Judaism. So it's like software you upload. Okay, I want to deal with this reality, and you can switch from reality, whatever. If you don't, I don't want to be a Christian. I'll be a Sunni. See, and all those realities can't be right, and maybe none of them are right. But at most, best, only one can be right. That means fourth is a planet, or three-fourths of the planet is totally insane. So you're saying yours is right, but you can't prove it. But you know that the real reality that you know that's a reality is mathematics. You know that's a reality. The way the Earth goes around the sun, that's mathematics. The way the moon goes around Earth, that's mathematics, right? Speed of light, that's mathematics. See, um, your laptop is mathematics, right? Your budget is mathematics, right? Your DNA is mathematics. See, nothing that you can, everything that's real is mathematics. So you know that's a reality. There's no doubt about that one. But the other ones, there's conjecture. Your belief. You're in a belief matrix. You can't prove them. You don't know if they exist or not. See? But you know mathematics do exist. See? But see, the thing is, once they give you this religious reality, then critical analytics doesn't apply anymore because you cannot use it on that reality. You cannot apply critical analytics to Christianity, otherwise you would not be a Christian. You cannot apply it to Sunnism, otherwise you would not be a Sunni. You cannot apply it to Hinduism, because none of that stuff makes any sense because you can't, you apply, it destroys it. You can't apply mathematical thinking to those things. They take you out of mathematical thinking to some super duper metaphysics universe somewhere, right? That you think made in some other dimension, right? See, where all these things exist, you've never been there, but you believe it. You know, you can believe a pot, right, full of water, right, is going to turn into gold. You can believe that. You can believe that Superman came from Krypton. Those are beliefs. We don't deal with beliefs here. We deal with faith. Faith is based on facts. Faith is tethered to facts. So in other words, you don't know a pot will boil if you put water and put heat under it. You don't know it will boil. But you have faith that is based on facts, based on previous experience, not belief. That's a difference. But they have you thinking that faith is, what you have is faith. It's not faith. The religions of faith. Those not, they're not based on faith. They're based on belief. These should come religions of belief, not faith. Faith is a whole different matter. See? But faith, like I said, again, is tethered to mathematics. It's tethered to facts. So we're going to tell you what this is, but you're not going to accept it. See? So if I'm correct, then you already lost. Because you ain't going to accept it, but it's going to happen. And then what happens to you? Because you're going to reject it because you've been told to reject it because you're not thinking analytically, critically. Because it's based on, what I'm going to tell you is based on your reality, your religious reality is based on that. It's what supports it. See? And so to come to understand what it really is, it's going to destroy your reality. It's going to destroy it. It's going to bury it. See? And that's the software you run in your mind. So it's going to take and cripple your mind. It's going to cripple your mind to understand what the abomination of Parliament is. Going to cripple your mind because you are not running critical analytics. You run a belief. You run a religion. Religions are not based on belief, not based on facts. It's not based on mathematics. They're based on belief, superstition. Your religion, whether you like it or not, is a superstition because you cannot prove it. That's what superstition is. Now, if you can prove it, show me I'm a liar. Prove me that all that stuff you believe in the Bible, in Christianity, all that stuff, we believe in about 100%. But you have the wrong understanding of it. But prove me that these angels exist, there's heaven out there, and there's this mystery God. Prove me. You can't prove any of that stuff. As soon as you get the same problem, prove to me. Prove to me that, and you can't see angels, and This mystery, none of you can prove any of that stuff. So it's superstition. I know you don't like it because you call everybody else superstition. You're a superstition too. Look up the definition of superstition. You can't prove it. It's just a belief. But mathematics is not superstition, because how are they ruling the world? They're not ruling the world with prayer and religion. They use religion to keep you, to disarm you so they can continue ruling you, but they're ruling you with mathematics. Not ruling you with prayer, not ruling you with prayer beads, right? Not ruling you with religion. They're ruling you with mathematics. Period. See? But they're giving you religion so you won't, so you be disarmed, so they can continue ruling you. Because they know because if you have an enemy, you want to disarm your enemy. So they have disarmed us, right? By making us start thinking religion, because we start thinking mathematics, then we'd be at war with them. See, because we compete with them. You want to get rid of competitors. Because you start thinking mathematically, then it's a test, right? It's a battle between two minds. See, but right now it's not, because you're a slave to them because they got mathematics, right? And you got superstition. And which one is winning? Same thing in the Middle East. They over there with, America goes there with mathematics, with their cruise missiles, all that's mathematics stuff. And all they got over there is prayer beads and throw the Quran back at them. Every time they shoot cruise missile up their ass, all they can do is throw a Quran back at them. You see, how is that working? See, so that, you know, and on what make it worse, if they want to try to fight back, they have to come and borrow the mathematics, right, from the producer of the mathematics. So in other words, I got a gun on you, so you come and ask me, can you buy a gun for me so you can fight back me with the gun that I make? But they don't make guns over there. They don't make weapons over there. You see? So they have to borrow weapons from the people that they're fighting with. And yeah, that's kind of stupid by definition. So I need some more bullets. I ran out of bullets. Can you give me some more bullets to shoot you with? So they're still dealing with, 1,400 years in the past, still dealing with beliefs. See? But here, we're dealing with math. Analytical, right? Analytics. Critical analytics. So, we are not playing here. We are dropping atom bombs. ATOMS. Because what I'm going to tell you is going to shatter your mind. It's going to move you whether you accept it or not. But if you accept it, it's going to shatter your mind, because it's going to shatter your reality. It's going to blow it away. And that's just the first phase. That's just the first phase. It's going to shatter reality. That's just the first phase. See? So let me go on some background here. Now, what's the basis of your reality? Your base, you got to understand, we got, this whole thing is based on the Abrahamic covenant. That's what that's the controversy, right? This whole thing is probably based on the Abrahamic covenant. There's three sides to it. First, those who call themselves Jews say they're the seed of Abraham. See? And the Christians say, no, Jesus rejected because they was evil, and Jesus rejected that, right? So they became the spiritual, right? The spiritual seed of Abraham, right? The spiritual Israel. So each one of those ideas have a different connotation. See, because if they are those people call themselves Jews, if they are the seed of Abraham, right? They're the true Israel. See, they're from that point of view, from that perspective, then us over here, we're Ham. See, we are from the seed of Shem, from Noah, and we was cursed to be black and to be slaves forever. See, and we're sinful. So from that perspective, right, then the Christians over in America, They are good people because all they're doing is they're imprisoning the evil people. Because remember, we're supposed to be brought, that's what Farrakhan's telling you, we're supposed to be brought over here because we were sinful, so we're being punished. So America's becoming our prison. America's our prison, see? So in other words, they're our warden and our guards of the prison. So you can't judge the guard and the warden for doing what they were supposed to do. They were supposed to punish, right? They control the prisoners. And that's what they've been doing. They've been doing God's will. So they're good people. From that point of view, they're good people. You see? So we're still talking about the people that is calling themselves Jews, still talking from that perspective. So that means that's who we are. So that means they're not bad people. You see? Americans are not bad people. They're just doing, right? They follow the scripture, they following God's word and everything. So we're the bad people. And we deserve everything we got. That's that perspective. Now, let's look at another perspective. The other perspective is that the Christians say, no, we're the spiritual seed. Right? We're spiritual Israel because other Israel, the one over there, because Jews, the cost of Israel, they lost it because they fought against Jesus. Jesus took the promise from, the kingdom from them and gave it to the Christians. So from their perspective, we got the same thing. We still here, we still in the same situation, right? We still being, so that still goes. But then again, what they did to Indians is cool too, because all the world is theirs. They didn't inherit us. So the Indians was in their way. Well, I missed one other thing. As far as the people there, Jews, of course, of Israel, right? Okay, what they're doing now is fine because they was given the land. Remember, they was given all of Arabia, Iraq, Lebanon, Jordan. They was getting all of that. That was the problem. So that means whatever they're doing to the Muslims over there is fine. And that means the Muslims are evil. Why? Because they stand in the way of God's people. You see, so that gives you hope. That gives you a perspective of the world from, if you look at it from that point of view, them being the true seed of Abraham, right? True Israel. From that point of view, right? We still deserve everything we got. So everybody's hands clean on that one. And the Muslims, they're evil people because they stand in the way. They stand in the way of God's promise. You see, and all the rest of the world is under their control because they're going to rule the world, so they can take whatever they want. That's from the Jewish perspective. From American perspective, you got pretty much the same thing, except right, what they did to the Indians over here is fine because they were not the same thing like the Muslims. They was in the way. They call it this the promise. They call America the promised land, the Garden of Eden. So they took it because it was theirs. The Indians shouldn't have been here. They should, that was their problem, being in the way. So their hands are clean all over the board. So they're good people. They're righteous people. They're holy people from that point of view. And then what they was doing to Jews is okay too. Because remember, they lost everything. So they supposed to be chastised. So all they was doing to the Jews, so their hands are clean all the way around. But they was oppressing Jews, that was fine. Right? Because Jews lost it. They call them Christ killers. They lost it, and they deserved everything they got. So them burning up Jews, that was fine. What they did to Indians, fine, because they were standing away the promised land, because America's eating there, all it belongs to them, right? And us being, see, their hands are clean. That's why they say, man, we're clean, good people, because they are, from that perspective. And so the world right now was operating on that perspective, the Christian's perspective, up until 1948. It was operating from that perspective to 1948. Until Elijah Muhammad came and announced that the book of Exodus refers to us as happening now, and that we're the true seed of Abraham. So, and we had the history to prove it. So they had to nip that in the bud. They had to snuff that out. That's why they set false Israel. Right? They went back to the old. See, remember you got two visions I told you about already, right? That they're the spiritual right? And false, the Jews are the real seed, right? And so they went back to that notion, right? Because they had another competitor, that was us, and we had the history and the facts to prove it. So they had to annihilate to get rid of that, because I said, no, we're the true seed of Abraham. We got the 400 years history and everything. So then they went back to the old previous vision about the Jews are the inheritors. See, so that made they gave them the right to take the land over there. So and you bless Israel, right? Those who bless Israel, God will bless. Those who curse Israel. So that means America all in to make sure Israel. You understand? See what's driving this thing? So America's all in to prove that. See, but the whole idea is see the whole idea about being this is after the 400 years, they're gonna put that aside because they didn't see you're supposed to return after 400 years. So everybody they start returning everybody, all the Jews start returning, so-called returning back to what they call Israel now. So they say that's the return. See, they forget about the 40 years that precede that because it's supposed to be 40 years enslaved and then return. But there was no 40 years enslavement. But they just ignore that part. See, they ignore that part because they were supposed to, just before the return, there was a return from 40 years of enslavement. And Jews were not enslaved for 40 years anywhere, but even so, they weren't showing they weren't enslaved just before that so-called return. But they ignore that, so we give them that one temporarily. See? So they went back to that one. Now, in that case, right, their hands were still clean as far as us. See, so the Indian, that's another old question here because now, because unless they the true seed of Abraham, they're spiritual, then maybe they shouldn't be taking America. See, so now you start hearing, well, critical race theory and stuff. They shouldn't have took, they did it. And you might hear that kind of stuff, but it's kind of, ambivalent about that now because they went back to the first vision, and the first vision is against since 1948, right? It's the Muslims over there, they're no good, they're evil, they're terrorists, right? Because all that land belongs to them if you go back to the first vision. You understand? I told you two visions. The vision that Jews are the seed of Abraham and the vision that the Christians are the Jews are Israel, right? And the other vision is the Christians, right? The European Christians, right? They're the spiritual Israel, the new one that Jesus got rid of the old one. So they went back to the old one because the old one was a narrative against us being the true seed. They had to counter that narrative because they could have people believing that we're true seed because what's the implication of that? So that's the third vision, that we're the true seed. So now we look at the world from the Christians being the spiritual Israel. We look at a perspective from the Jews being Israel. Now, that's how the world changed. That's why the world is as right now, because the world is operating on the idea that the Jews, right, are seed of Abraham, are Israel. So that's why you see all the politics. That's the problem, because America is the most powerful, they say, on the planet, and it's supporting that idea. And so everybody else is on board with that idea, right? Because that's the idea that's driving the world today. You understand what's driving the world? Because remember, you have all these realities, but that's the reality, that's the dominant reality in the world today. The dominant reality in the world, there's American reality, because America's the most powerful country. At least that's what they say. So we talk about two visions there. But now, what's the third vision? See, but we always see what happens when you start talking about third vision, because the third vision, right, that made them run back to the first vision. Because they didn't want that third vision. Why? What's the implication of the third vision? Because both of those visions, right, reduce us to slaves, evil, we over here being punished, and everybody's hands are clean. But the third vision says, if we are the true seed of Abraham, it turns everything upside down. Because we're true. That means they're liars, and they're liars. The first two are liars. And that means now where we were supposed to be him, now it turns out that they are taking and been oppressing and raping and killing the true seed of Abraham, God's chosen people. That means they're devils and evil. Now I guess this is where, if I have to look in where they start messing with my, because this is the third time of me trying to deliver this message, and two times they destroyed it. So maybe this is where they jump in. I won't find out till I finish. You understand? So that means they're evil. This critical race theory stuff. That means they're evil. They're wicked. They're the devils because they're oppressing and raping and killing God's people for over 400 years. Innocent people. They can't have that vision. And the people say Jews, they share that vision also. Because see, if you understand Daniel, it's that tree that was cut down to a stump and it was bound by iron and brass. See, if you understand Daniel, the iron represents the Europeans and the brass represents the Jewish people. And we're the tree. So their hands ain't clean. They try to make their hands ain't clean. But when you come to that vision, because first of all, how can their hands be clean? When they pretending they're guilty of ID, ID, stolen ID, right? See, identification theft. Because they stole our ID. You see, and they're doing all this over there. So it means all the stuff we're doing there is evil. Because if they was God's people, then that land belongs to them. So then you say it's justified. But now they're stealing people's land. They kill those people over there on a lie. See? So that makes them evil. And so therefore, they can't have that vision. They cannot allow that vision to stand. Because that turns everything upside down. That changes the whole world. That changes the whole reality. And destroys their reality, destroys it. It blows it away. And it's nothing but destruction for them. Because they had this one idea, and this turns everything upside down. You understand what I'm saying? That's why they can't accept had that vision. They got like people like Farrakhan, he's helping them, right, with their vision. Because he's telling we're not going anywhere. That means, by him saying we're not going anywhere, that means he's saying the covenant is worthless and not happy. Because that's the whole purpose of the covenant. That's the whole purpose of Master Prophet coming here. This tells us we're going back home. And he said we're not going anywhere. That means he called God a liar. He said the covenant is nothing. So he's on, but you don't understand it because you're not, no critical analytics working here. See? Because he on board with them. He wants to stay here, all that kind of stuff. You understand what I'm saying? So in other words, so if that is true, that in itself is a nuclear, it's an atom, ATTOM blast that's rocked the world. And it shook the world when Elijah Muhammad told it. That's why they had to take and change, because they was killing those people, they was hating those people, and all of a sudden they was putting them up in smokestacks, and all of a sudden their asses was honey pots, right? And they was crapping honey, and everybody was eating the honey. All of a sudden they loved them. All of a sudden, just like overnight, they went from hating them into loving them, because they had to counter that vision that Elijah Muhammad said, "We're the true seed." So they can't let that happen. So that was a shock wave there, but they was able to contain it. They can't contain it anymore, because if that's true, because see, the whole thing is, remember, part of that vision is that when Israel returns home after 400 years of captivity, they will never be uprooted. They'll be turned in peace. They'll return with no anxiety, no fear, and no walls. But they got plenty of fear over there. They got plenty of anxiety, and they do have walls. So we just put that aside too for a second. Okay? So, we're told there's going to be a war. And we see a war brewing in the Middle East. Now, you don't understand chapter 12, but it's about Michael and his angels, that's fraudulent, and the Shia is going to go with the dragon's angels, that's House of Saud, right? And America been the false Israel. And they're going to lose. Now, just follow this through. Now, you say, well, if that happens, see, because according to Daniel, they're going to be knocked down. So it's angel also, that's some of Revelation. And then false Israel, which is called a false prophet in chapter 19, be taken and obliterated. Think about that. If Israel over there, if they're not the true seed of Abraham and they're obliterated, remember, because the whole power, you cannot be, once you go over there, you cannot be moved. That's it. That's God's promise. If that happens, That's the abomination, because it's something that you can't imagine, something that just can't happen. Based on the first vision, the Jewish vision, the Christian vision, that cannot happen. But it does happen. That's the abomination. Desolation is that it's going to be totally eradicated. Because if it happens and then, there's they beat down, they lose the battle, and some survive, then you say, well, it's still, right? It's still, it has, they ain't destroyed, they're wounded. But they killed, that's the desolation. Abomination taken, right? Defeated, can't happen. It cannot happen. Not in the reality that you have, your religious reality. It cannot happen. That's the abomination. But it does happen, and then they obliterate it, which double. So the first thing, so you got nuclear, these atom explosions. See, we ain't playing here. See, I'm dropping atom bombs, and the people with me, they dropping atom bombs. I'm teaching them how to drop them, right? And we're not going to be destroyed by our own bombs. So what happens is that when they go to war, which they're going in a few days, see, the fact that America loses that war decisively and kicked out of the Middle East decisively, that's going to send shockwaves across the planet. That's not supposed to happen. That'd be worse than Vietnam. How in the hell can Iran, see? But they got a lot backing them. That's why they bring this UFO stuff. I'm not getting to that, right? So that's a shock. That was shockwaves to the whole planet, especially enemies. Because if they can't beat Iran, how in the hell are they going to go to war with Russia and China? And they may be more aggressive. You see how this thing building up? Shockwaves. And then Israel is lays siege to, which, bam, the second shockwave, second phase of, boom, like pulsing. Boom, before you can get your feet on the ground, shake, catch some traction, bam, you hit another blast. Bam. False Israel, because think about the news. America just defeated in the Middle East. How does that happen? How is that possible? Decisively. Boom. Then false Israel is under siege. Boom. How can that be? But still, you got hope, because they can't be moved. So there's going to be a miracle. So God's going to do something, right? To defeat them Arabs, defeat them Shia, whatever. He's going to do something, because they can't be destroyed. See? So the fact that the siege is going to be, but then they're destroyed. Boom! Shockwaves going to rock the planet. That's not supposed to happen. That can't happen. 3 blasts. If your mind is still intact, right? They got one coming that's going to obliterate it. That's 3 blasts. So once that happened, what's the deal? Then, if they are not Israel, Elijah must be right. We must be Israel. Bam! See, that's going to hit him like a triple nuclear blast. Because all of a sudden, remember, they're still, their hands are clean up to that point, right? And we still, but all of a sudden, bam, we the true Abraham. Remember, now, they the devils, they're evil, they're wicked. All that stuff I just talked about. Hits them like a tidal wave. Hits like a tidal wave. A super tsunami. So you trigger by a nuclear bomb. It's going to rock. It says, man, we walk around drunk without having a drink. It's going to cripple their minds. And so they could be grabbing, they could be reaching for anything, for some sanity. Looking for anything for some sanity. It just can't be. Because we going to hell. God's getting ready to destroy us. We're going to go into captivity. See, all the stuff, remember, all the stuff they're saying, because that's supposed to happen. We're getting ready to go to hell. God's getting ready to put us to hell because we're the evil ones. See, we're going to be in hell forever and ever and ever. And we're about to be destroyed. That's what's going to hit them. And then they say, oh, how can we get our minds back? See, you think I'm being over dramatic? No, this is nothing compared to what you're going to see in a few more days. Because they're going to try to get their mind back. And when they try to get their mind back, they're going to come to the conclusion is, well, if we get rid of them, that'll prove that we are the true spiritual. See, they go back to that vision again. They're the spiritual Israel. See, because they went backwards because of what the proclamation that Elijah Muhammad made, the declaration. So that's gone. That vision's gone. So they only got two visions left, us and them. And the only way their vision, they can get back to being pure and holy and heaven bound, right, is destroy our vision. Because to make sure our vision is not right. And you have to get rid of us, obliterate us. That's what it's talking about. They're going to attack us. That's how we get to there. Because they have to attack us. They have to. That's the only way they can get their mind back. To obliterate us. So then if they obliterate us, then they're back to being holy, good, and their people and everything because they're the spiritual seed. That's how they get back there, get their mind back. They're the spiritual Israel. So they have to eradicate us. Because if they don't, that means they're evil, they're the devils, they're all this stuff that Elijah Muhammad said, they're all all the stuff the Bible says, and their doom is right around the corner. You understand, brothers and sisters? I'm trying to break this. Like I said, we get closer and closer, I'll make it clear and clear for you. That's what's going on here. And that's why they're trying to stop it. They may mess up again. It looks like it's working okay. But when I play it back, it may not be. Right? But this is what they're trying to stop. They don't want this message out. Because this message right here is sending atom bomb blast through the world anyways. Anybody's hearing it and have any bit of critical analytics left in their brain, it's registering. It's moving them. If they ain't, they still, because when the sunlight hits you, it either makes you rotate or it burns you. So it's either burning them or it's starting to rotate. See? That's the deal. That's what's going on here. See? Because abomination, desolation, that's me. So when you see that, because you have to remember, you have to recognize it. Because they don't tell you, let the reader understand. Because you have to know the way it is. When you see it, it's time unprecedented trouble, and that's the time that Son of Man will appear. That's his debut. So you can't get around that. That event is the hallmark event. It's the premier event, right? It's the foundation event. Everything circles around. And there's three opposing visions about that event, and two of them have no idea what that event is. I just told you. And most of you are not going to accept it. But then again, do you know what it is? If you don't know what it is, how you know I'm wrong? See? But if you don't know, because if I'm wrong, or if I'm right, you're in trouble, right? If you're not listening, accept it. And if I'm wrong, you're still in trouble. Because that means you don't know what the event is that you got to be watching out for. You don't know what the event is you got to be watching out for. That you have to, remember, you listen to it. You have to know what that event is. You have to know. Because you have to know, you have to be able to recognize when it happens. I just told you what it is. Okay, brothers and sisters, I hope you understand. See, this world is about to be turned upside down, inside out, because when that third vision, our vision, is established, that blows away all these other visions. That blows all these other realities away, because we bring the mathematical back to mathematical standard. All religions will be eliminated. They say, well, Jesus, when he come back, he's going to break the cross and kill the swine. No, they limit it. He's going to destroy all religions because they're all fake. The only true religion is mathematics. As Elijah Muhammad said, mathematics is Islam, Islam is mathematics. See? And that requires critical analytics. They've disarmed you. They've taken away from you, and you help them take away from your children because they cannot question anything about Christianity. They got a white man on the wall, right? How could, because what he's there for? They're telling you that they're going to be your master here, and then when you die, you're going to be your master there. And if you don't listen to whatever he says, no matter what, how ridiculous it is, you're going to burn in heaven, not for a day, not for 6 days, not for 6 years, not for 6 centuries, but forever. See, that's what you tell them. So therefore, and their reality, in other words, their success does not depend on mathematics and critical analytics and reasoning and logic. No, it depends on belief in whatever Jesus says. So then you can understand why they're not progressing. Because you don't know anything, one car, one machine, anything that runs off of prayer. Nothing. Hope you understand, brothers and sisters. Abomination of Parliament, you're going to see it in a minute. See? And some of you will recognize it based on this. But if you don't recognize, you're in trouble. See? Because it said you got to run. And it tells you where to run. But you don't understand it yet. You just understand angel, understand that. Okay, brothers and sisters. I think that covers everything. See? Like I said, I never revealed this before until now. And now also I got the worst problems about the computer I ever had before. So I'm saying I get close, I'm revealing more and more and more. And I got something I'm going to reveal in a day or so, right? It's very powerful. Very powerful. It relates to this. But this is one of the most powerful revelations that you can get out of the scripture, because this is the event. This is the event that's going to shock the world, that's going to destroy all these realities, that's going to destroy your mind if you keep running this software, this religious software. It's going to destroy this reality. Because just understanding what it is, I told you at the beginning, if you understand what the abomination of desolation is, that's going to destroy you. Just that knowledge itself, without even getting to it, it's going to destroy your reality. Because now you see 3 visions. And the only one that can prove, see, because you got those identity theft over there, but the only one can prove they're true to Abraham is us. Because we got history. We've been here 400 years, 1619 to 2019, right? Would be the enslavement. 2020 would be a plague that would kill the firstborn. That means elderly. It's past no black Africa. They tell us lies that we've been dropping like flies over here. Why? Because they can't have you, forward you to come to the recognition of the truth of it. See? So we the only one got this. And that's the vision. They cannot. See? But the point is, they can't stop it because you got 2 time makers on the scene. And we make a time. You understand what time is. See? We make a time. Time is given energy form. Right? That's what the future is. We giving energy. As we give energy form, that we're moving into the future. Because we have to make the future. The future doesn't happen by itself. We make it. See? So we have to make the hereafter. And you got 2 gods on the scene doing that. See? And one of the things they're doing is they're going to purify America. They're going to burn it up because it's pork, trench, and everything else. So if you out of time and you ain't on time with the time makers, the time creators, that means you're going to be here out of time when they burn the place up. That's what it means by you got to be on time. And we're trying to get you on time, brothers and sisters. And that's what the purpose is. So I gave you this here. This is the one. And when you study it, you'll see what I'm talking about. This is the most critical event in not your lifetime, but ever. They tell you, right? A time of trouble, unprecedented. Never before, never after. So you have to be identified. I just identified it for you. Hope you understand, brothers and sisters. Assalamu alaikum.